It's Tone Chase Day, and if you love unique gear that offers a sonic tonal palette that is off the beaten path, this one is for you. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Jam Shed and this episode of Tone Chase. And if you're new here and you're asking yourself, what exactly is a tone chase? Simply put, it's the thoughts that come into my brain about gear. And when that gear arrives to the shed, we bring it here and we just chase that tone under one rule, that there are none. So with that being said, let's take a look at our tone chase rig rundown right out of the gate. And here we go. So you see here we have a Boss SD-1, we have a Karnivore speaker, an SM57, the 2-channel triple rectifier. It's all here, it's all represented, and the specs are there, but the thing that sits in the center is a unique piece of gear that comes by way of a Glenn Fricker Spectre Sound Studios video around the whole Dokken and the legendary guitar player George Lynch's tone on under lock and key. Glenn said, hey, I found a neat little trick that they were using on there, and it unlocks a little bit more to the tonal palette. And he explored this in a video, and of course, gear acquisition got the best of me. So did the rabbit hole of how that actually worked and what goes into getting that tone, and I'm bringing that here for you today. So as you see here, we're going to be working with a Fostex X-26, which was also featured on Glenn's channel, by the way. And thank you, Glenn, for always putting the challenge out there to go and explore and be curious. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So again, the uniqueness of this piece of gear, and simply put, is if you loop the microphone from your speaker cab into this thing, something that happens when you basically slam the gain stage of it, it adds a little something when you then pipe it into your overall guitar mix. It's a gnarly tone, and it does something interesting with the overall image of your guitar tracks. And so I'll be really curious as we begin to explore how this thing works in the signal chain and what you hear. And so with that, let me grab a guitar and we're going to jump right into taking some listening. Now, I will caution all of you, this is a little different than what we've done in the past because usually it's 2 pedals or 2 speakers. We're going to spend a little time with this, just listening, and I'll be describing how I came to the tone that I felt was great. And I want to say this clearly, I am not trying to replicate what Glenn did because I have learned early on with this process to get this thing operationalized that realistically, I was listening to my own ears here and exploring for my own curiosity to see if I could have a similar result. But I can't replicate what Glenn was getting, per se exactly, but I think we're getting the spirit of what he was experiencing. And so that's what I'm bringing here for you. And I wonder, the question that we'll answer is, are there other ways that this could be done once I come and land the final thought? So I'm going to grab a guitar. We're going to get this thing kicked off. Here we go. As always, the axe of choice for our A/B testing is my beloved 2016 Evo. It has a Gibson Burstbucker 3 here in the bridge section. Very quickly, I want to talk to you a little bit about, let's take a look at the screen here, and I want you to see what you're staring at is I have the X-26 up here, and I have then this DAW. Really what this is an old Roland VS-2400. It's actually what I use here on the channel to do all of this basically in real time. It's a huge editing saver, time saver, but it does provide a lot of extra steps in clerical hoop jumping. But in this instance, I think it's going to be incredibly useful for you to see how all of this works. So I'm going to do my best here to hold the guitar, have conversation, and let you see exactly how I shape this tone. But before I do any more talking, I want you to hear this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this screen up, and then I'm going to be doing some A-Bing. If you pay attention, you'll see faders moving. You'll see things that are clicking off. I'll have some images up here so you can really tell what's going on, but I want you to hear it. So let's take a listen to what this thing sounds like, this X-26, and how it has an impact on the overall tone that you get when it is added to the signal chain. Let's take a listen. All right, right out of the gate, here's what you were hearing. Very subtle change, but I will say, even in my ears, and I think that it's best served when you listen to this, because when I watched Glenn's video, I really had to put in really good earbuds to hear the difference, and I was like, oh, that's it. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that subtle change, but basically the way I'll explain it, and so I'm going to challenge you when we go back to this A-B and I'll start noodling around, and I'll take a little bit more time going back and forth so you can have an opportunity to hear it, is you'll see that it kind of opens the image up a little bit. It almost becomes a little more stereo. You're getting a little bit more bump in the high end, and then we're going to come back and I'll give some more thoughts. So take a listen. Here we go. I'll go back and forth a little bit, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about the next steps. Let's take a listen. All right, there you have it. So what you're hearing there is you could hear it sort of open up, and I started with it out, and then I went back and forth, you know, engaging it, disengaging it, and giving you an opportunity to hear it. So hopefully on your end, you're hearing how it becomes almost, again, it's like a top end boost and almost widens the sound. That's the best way that I think I can explain it. Now, here's what I want to do next. I'm going to show you how I shaped this tone, and you're going to see here, let's just go ahead and look at the screen. Now, this is going to be a little talking, so if you want to jump to the jam, because that's going to be the next thing, I'll give my thoughts and we'll land the plane. Please feel free to do that. If you want to be here for the nerdy tone and see a little bit how I did this and how it works and how you might do that, specifically in a DAW, and I recognize yours will look wildly different, but you'll get the spirit of what's going on here. As you can see on the screen, you can actually see the X-26, and that's real time, it's there. And I'm running into the front end, so I did a send from the aux, and I'm going to show you that here. So we're going to get this thing going. I'll show you here. We're going to go to the aux, so I'm clicking on that now, and you're getting the signal that's coming in. What the readout is it's showing you right now me talking, so you can see that. Now, on the other side of that, what would happen is I'm running the aux. This is mic 2, so I'm sorry, input 2 on here is the regular microphone, and then input 3, you can see it's turned way down here, and I'll move it a little bit. Whoops. So you can see these faders will move a little bit, but this is then the X-26, and I can pick how much I want to add that back into our overall tonal palette. So again, I take the microphone signal from channel 2, where that is, I routed that through an auxiliary out and into the X-26, and then I come out of the X-26, which you can see in the top of it there, and then I run it to channel 3, which is how I can pipe it back into the signal. And so what I want to do right now is I want to let you hear what that sounds like as I play around with it. But that's the basic setup. Now, again, I have this set up so you could see the aux, and I can actually adjust the auxiliary input here, and you can see that it's on aux 3. And so we'll put it back in its general spot here, and then I'm going to go ahead and let us take a listen to what this thing sounds like as I engage it. I'll let you hear it on its own. In fact, that's exactly how we'll start. I will pull it all the way down so you can hear the dry signal, and then I will pull the dry signal and I'll kind of let them both come up and go down at the same time so that you hear just the signal only of channel 3, which is the X-26. And then I'll start to do the blend, and then I'll do some muting it and unmuting so that you can hear what this thing sounds like. But before I do the unmuting and muting, I will come back and give thoughts so we break this up well. All right, lots of talking. Let's do some listening. Here we go. All right, so we got to hear it right there, and again, my apologies for the steps of clerical hoop jumping here. It's a lot to manage in one moment, but that's okay, because that's the realism of doing this in real time. You get to see how it all comes together. So what I was doing here is I was bringing up the signal. I let you hear it dry, and then I was introducing the X-26 and what that sounded like, and then you could hear how fried it sounds and how gnarly it sounds. And then towards the end there, I let you hear when I was starting to blend it. And so for this last little part, I'm going to then just do that same thing one more time so you can hear it, and then I'll turn it off and on so you can hear the blend I land on. You could pay attention to the faders, number 2 and number 3. Again, number 2 fader is the dry signal, what you would get normally if you were just using the SD-1, and then I'm going to insert, or add to is the better word here. I'm going to add to the, or words, I'm going to add to the signal the X-26 so you can hear what that is, and then I'll start muting and unmuting it so you can hear the differences between the two. Come back, give final thoughts, and we'll go from there. Let's take a listen. All right, so I love this thing. It's fun. Tone chasing is so much fun. And here's the bottom line to all of this, at least from my perspective and listening to it again. And honestly, I haven't had a whole ton of time with it. This is the most time I've been able to go back and forth. And so you're really getting my real-time reaction unfiltered. It's really unique in the sense that this sound from the X-26 is wild. It's out of control. It's borderline obnoxious. And it sort of reminds me of when you take a metal zone and you just crank it, and then you would just add that as your gain stage. And I wonder if that's another pathway to unlocking this. The one thing I don't know is if it gives that stereo add to this that the X-26 is giving. That's, I think, the biggest benefit that I'm enjoying, is that you all of a sudden almost like bring clarity to the mix. And I think it's fascinating. Now, the real question is what does this thing sound like in the context of a mix? And I think that is important. You know, it's fine when we're in the room and we're listening to something on its own and we're trying to get an idea of what the tones could be. And I want to be clear on one thing. My system is unique to the system I have. And so when I bought this thing, I was not anticipating trying to clone Dawkins' tone at all from the album Under Lock and Key. I was looking at, can I take what Glenn was talking about and actually implement that same structure here and get something that I find cool? And the answer to that was an enthusiastic yes. So the last thing I want anybody to do is go, yeah, I'm going to go find an X-26 and I'm going to do the same thing because it has inherent value. It's an ad, it's something different, but know that the tones that are being unlocked here are really specific to this ecosystem. And I'm not pulling the wool over your eyes here at all by any stretch. There's no additional EQ or processing added in these A/B tests that you're hearing here in real time at all whatsoever. What you're getting is what you're getting. But again, you have a lot happening here in the signal chain. You have a mic, you have the mic position, you have the speaker and how the uniqueness of the speaker sounds, the cab that it's in. You have a lot of filters before the finalized sound that you're hearing to your ears right now. And so if this is something that is interesting you and you have gear and you have a DAW and you want to explore, by all means, if it's not going to break your budget and you have capacity to do so, I'm not telling you to part ways with your money. I would say, again, explore with the things that you have at home. I mean, I mentioned I'm curious, very curious now. Could you do something similar like this with, let's say, again, the metal zone? Can you gain stage it outside, or can you pipe it in some way similar, grab a cheap Behringer mixer and, you know, make kind of do the same thing that this input stage on this mixer does? And is that an option? Can that really do the same thing? I don't know the answer to that question. It could be another little tone chase that we explore. If that's something you're interested in seeing, put a comment below. Now, all of that to be said, we have one more thing here to do before we land the plane, and that's hear this in the context of a jam. I want to be clear, because we don't have anything really to A/B except for on and off, I will do that, and it'll be A/B tracks, basically 2 tracks of the normal signal chain, which is a triple rectifier, SD-1, Karnivore, SM57, and then it'll flip to the Fostex X-26, and then it'll just go back and forth until the jam ends. I'll give you obviously the guitars only, the isolated guitars as well. So let's take a listen to it. Here we go. All right, so lots to really be excited about. Honestly, again, the jams are revealing. It's always fascinating to me when you listen to the context of a full mix, how some things disappear, how some things come together. And here, I think I would leave that up to all of you to make a decision on how you felt about what you heard. I would say there's a wide variety of sensitivity when it comes to what we're hearing in the context of a mix. And this, for me, is more about the individual perception. I mean, there are times when I listen to certain CDs and I'm like, this doesn't sound great. And it's not often I say that. What I mean by that is I might listen to something that's more of a modern mix and go back to some of those older CDs. It's not that I don't appreciate it. It's just like, it didn't sound like it sounds like the first time I heard it. Like Rage Against the Machine is a great example of that. Like when I first heard that, I was like, wow, super powerful. Like just everything was in your face and so in your face. And then you hear something else, like go back to the 70s, and you would feel that same way. Like I remember the first time I heard Kashmir. My love for that song by Led Zeppelin has not changed, but like you take the power of like something of Rage Against the Machine, it's just that modern, more modern, era to era. But I guess what I'm drilling down on is sometimes how things hit your ears could be momentary. And I'd be curious to hear what you guys felt about what you heard in the mix. I don't have much to offer from my perspective. Again, it's just those subtle things that make a difference. And in this particular jam, it might not be as pronounced, but in others it may be. So now it's another tool in the toolbox from my perspective, and that inherently is worth it. But I will circle back to what I had said before. It's about exploring and being curious. My question to all of you, if you were going through your gear, do you think this would inspire you to try something different? So if I have an old Behringer mixer, which I think I do lying around here, and I definitely have a metal zone, and I think I would be walking away going, I want to try that. So your mileage may vary on all of this, but at the end of the day, this tone chase was awesome. And I loved every second of it, and I hope you enjoyed it. I want to say thank you if you stuck around this long for hanging out with me and spending time chasing tone and just enjoying a process. So with that, I will say, I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.